Hello and welcome back to the Concrete course that talks about building a drag and drop game with react-beautiful-dnd and ContextAPI. This is the part 2 of this short course, and this time around it's time for us to start understanding what we want to build in practicality of coding our application out. Alright, don't forget to follow us on all our social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can also check out our website, especially our blog at this time at www.concrete.com. So basically, I've created a React app here, and for those of us who don't know how to create a simple React app, though by now I know that you should understand the basic React library or framework, how it works, and how to create a new React app. Alright, but in case you don't know how to do that, I'm just going to explain that to us. So to create a new React app, and I'm specifically showing you the adding TypeScript part here. You can go to create react app.dev, create-react-app.dev/docs/adding TypeScript, right? So basically all you have to do, make sure that you have Node.js installed on your PC, either Mac or OS. Make sure you can do that. Basically to do that is you can simply type node.js in your browser, and you can go to nodejs.org and you can download the LTS version of Node.js for Mac or for Windows, right? And after you are done installing Node.js, also make sure you have a text editor or a coding editor like VSCode, because we are going to be using VSCode throughout this short course, right? And also, though you can use any text editor or coding editor of your choice, but VSCode is more flexible, right? And that's why we're using VSCode in this particular short course. Alright, then you can go back to this page after you are done with installing Node.js and VSCode. I know by now, since you already know how to interact with React, you should have all of these things installed. So to create a React app that uses the TypeScript template, all you have to do is type this code: npx create React app, then the name of your app, then add -- template, then put TypeScript, right? If you are using npx, that means you are using npm, and you can also use yarn, but I think you should do this: npx create React app, the name of your app, it must be in all lower cases, and then template, then put TypeScript. That way you are going to be able to create a React app that is specifically TypeScript, not necessarily JavaScript. We are going to be using TypeScript all throughout this course in our React apps. Alright, so after you are done, you should have a simple and a basic React application, right? I've removed some folders and some files in this React application, so there may be a little change in what you're seeing and what you're seeing on your screen right now and what you have on your VS Code. But not to worry, I'll tell you the important ones we need. So I've created some folders and some files here. So in the public folder, I created this folder called CSS, and I created a file called custom.css in this public folder, and I put these 2 CSS rules here. And not to worry, this is just to set things up for us in terms of how we want to style our application. Alright, that's the only thing I think I did here. Don't worry about the font and the images folder right here. Then also in this src folder, that's the source folder, I created a new folder called components, right? And within this folder called components, I created 2 other folders called helpers and then pages. Alright, don't worry about the files in these two folders currently, right? So I created a folder called helpers. I created another folder called pages. As a matter of fact, in this helpers folder, I'm going to be creating a new file. I'll call it types.util, or let's create another folder. Let's create another folder instead. Let's call it utils. All right, let's call it utils, and then inside the utils folder, let's create a file called types.util.ts. all right, and so I have another folder here. I'll show you again. I have the utils folder, and then in the utils folder I have types.util.ts. all right, in the what do you call it, in the seed data, in the helpers folder, I have the seed data.tsx. okay, this type.util.ts, let's change it to types.tsx instead. Let's do types.tsx instead. I think this is fine. All right. Yeah. Okay. After doing this, then another thing we want to quickly do is, don't worry about the errors you're seeing here. It's because we've not written anything in the file. All right. So create a pages folder within the components. Remember, all of these things are in the components folder. Create a pages folder within the components folder, and then we're going to come back and talk about this file here, but it's not time for that right now. Right, so what we want to quickly do now, if you check your app.tsx file, you are going to probably be seeing something different from mine here. That's because I have cleared out the most things here, and I've created a simple functional component here. Right, that's what I have done. So I've replaced what React would normally create for you here. I've replaced it with this, so you can do that very quickly, and we can move on right here. So what I want to very quickly do right here is to set up the routes for my application in this React folder. All right, so what can I do, or what do I want to do? First, I want to install some packages, which is very important. I need to install some packages to ensure that our application is going to work the way it is supposed to work. All right, in order to do that, I'm going to open my terminal right here. So Control- would do that for you on Mac, right? Or you can easily just come to view and choose terminal right here, right? Okay, like I said earlier, please don't worry about the error here. That's going to be resolved very soon. Okay, so what are the packages we are installing in our package.json? We are installing some packages. The first package I want to install here is, I want to install npm high flag force. Flag here means iPhone, right? Flag force. I want to do React router DOM. I want to install React router DOM. That's very important. That's how we are going to be able to set up our routes, right? And then the next thing I want to do is I want to install. So I'm going to install a couple of packages all together. Flag force. Then I'm going to install jQuery, just in case I need to do some things with jQuery. I want to install React beautiful-dnd. All right, and then I'm going to install the TypeScript version of this React-beautiful-dnd package. So I'm going to do okay, in order for you to see what I'm doing well, I'm going to increase the zoom here so you can see what I'm doing well. All right, so I'm going to install the TypeScript version of React-beautiful-dnd. So React-beautiful-dnd. Okay, make sure the spelling is, it is spelled well. All right, after that, what else do we need? Basically, I think that's basically all we need right now, and other ones will come in at a later time. But we need this 3 packages: React Router DOM, we need React-beautiful-dnd, both the TypeScript version and the JavaScript version, and also we need jQuery for the things we want to do. All right, so after installing those things right here, I can clear my terminal, and then we can go back to our app.tsx app.tsx file right here. So in app.tsx, what we want to quickly do is to quickly set up the route for our application, right? By now, since you understand React and how React work, you should know what I'm talking about right here. Okay, so we are going to be removing suspense here, and we don't need that for now. So what I'll do is I'll do import from React Router DOM. I'm going to be importing a couple of things. I'm going to be importing browser router as router. This means I am destructuring browser router, and I'm giving it another name as I'm destructuring, right? I'm going to be importing routes or destructuring routes, and then I'm going to be doing route right here. All right, I think that's all we need for now, and then let's quickly put that into a working state right here. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'll clear up this React fragment here, and then I'll put router, and then I'm going to put routes. After routes, what do I want to put? I need a route, a simple basic route, right? So I'm going to do route path, and this is React 18. This is React version 18. So there's going to be a little bit of differences in the way you know how it works in React 16. All right. So elements, I'm going to put elements. It's going to be just React fragments. I'm going to do something like this. All right. I think this is all we need right here. This is all we need right here to set up our routes. Now, with that done, the very next thing I want to do is to go inside the pages folder right here and create a new file and call it home.tsx. Remember, we are using TypeScript. So we are not using JavaScript. So instead of JSX right here, what we are going to be doing is our extensions most time will be TSX. All right. What I want to quickly do here is I want to import from React. I want to import React itself. I want to import a couple of things. Use effect. I'm going to be importing use context. I'm going to be importing use state. All right, I'll tell you the reason why we are doing this later, but let's move on. So I'm going to create a simple functional component here. So constant home will be equals to props any, right? By now you should know what any here means. Well, I'm just defining the data type of this props parameter here, and then I'm going to export default. Remember, one of the requirements of taking this short course is for you to have understood JavaScript and TypeScript. And if you don't understand TypeScript, right, just follow what we are doing and we can create another tutorial or short course on TypeScript, right? But in the description of these videos, we are going to drop a link for you to to learn TypeScript in a simple crash course by Brad Traversy, right? We are going to do that. So please check the description of the video and understand TypeScript. Then you can come back and continue with the course. Export default home. Right. So here I want to very quickly do some things. I want to do use effect. I'm going to quickly set up this. So by now you should know how to create functional components, right? Then I'm going to do return. Then I'm going to be returning React fragment here. All right. So this way we've set up all of our functional components. So what I'm just going to do here is I'm going to put LODND, right? Now with this done, I'll go back to my app.tsx file, and then I'm going to import that particular page or that component. This time around, I'm going to be using something called the lazy loading functionality in React. So I'm going to do constant home is react.lazy, then I'm going to create an arrow function here, right? Then I'll do import, then I'm going to do ./components/pages/home. All right. And with this done, with home imported here, instead of fragment in this element property, I'm going to be putting home here. All right. Now with this done, we can now take some time. Let me reopen this terminal. So we can now run our application and see if we're going to have this in the browser. All right. So I'm going to close this up, and then we can come right here. Right, so I'll type in npm start. So let's wait for this to be triggered in our browser. Yeah, this was because I was running something on the other port. So don't worry about that. I can close those other ones later, and then we can use our proper ports. Okay, it's compiling with problems. Okay, the reason is because I have used in my index.tsx file, I've used a particular package right here. So I'm just going to remove this. All right, and then I'm going to remove this. You don't have this on your hand, so don't worry about it. Right, so you don't have this on your hand, you don't have to worry about it. So I'll stop this and then start the server again. All right, so it's actually working, but let's just restart the server. All right, so types.css cannot be compiled under isolated modules because it's considered a global script file and an import or export. So remember that this particular file, that we don't have anything here. All right, TypeScript is complaining about this. So what we want to do here is I'm just going to do export interface so let's do game or let's do I'm just going to do let's do task. All right, let's create a simple interface task, and then with that done, you can see that we've already resolved all the errors that are in our React application. All right, so we have LODND here, which means our basic setup, the basic setup of our route and our simple page and components is done. All right, so let's close all these files and let's come back to a file called tsconfig.json here. All right, this file is very important, and it is important that you know what we are doing with this file here. All right, so this file comprises of the simple rules that TypeScript would follow for your React app. It is important that you know the things that are inside this file, but I won't explain everything right now. What I'll just tell you is make sure that ESNext is what is in your target. Make sure that you are adding ESNext to your library property here. Make sure you are allowing JS, so put allow JS true, right? It's important. Those things are important, and make sure no emit true is also part of the properties. All right, once that is done, you can leave every other thing here. We'll come back to explaining these things later. All right, so the next thing we want to do very quickly is to start to style this home page and then style our tasks. Right, we style the home page, we style our tasks, and then we can make sense of what we are currently doing. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to go to my home, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a section here and say class section. Right, then I'm going to do div class container. All right, so the first thing I always like to do is to put up the HTML structure first, and then start to style everything. Okay, so once I do this, because I want a situation where the task will be in the middle of the page. All right, that's why I'm putting container here. All right, so then I'm going to do div class name column. All right, it's going to be column. Also inside a particular column, there will be the column heading or the column header. Right, so I'm going to say to do. All right, that's the column header. Then I'm going to have this div class task list. All right, so then for the task list, inside the task list, I'm going to have a div class task item. Okay, so these things we've not styled them yet. All right, but we are going to style them. All right, so in div class task item, I'm going to have something like span class name undo. All right, and then we're going to have something like h3. I'm going to have so say one task is I want to clean out my garbage. All right, so that's one task. Now I want to have many tasks in this task list right here. So I'm going to have another task. It's going to be so another thing is it's going to be study for exams. So I'm going to do study for exams. Let's have two more tasks. Let's say I want to watch a movie by Friday, and then the last task is going to be something like visit family in hometown. All right, so with all these tasks right here, remember we have task list and we have each task item in the HTML structure. All right, now this is a column with a task list and then the task items. Now we want to have other columns. All right, so we're going to have other columns. Div class column, and in this we're going to have, I think is h1 here. All right, h1 we're going to have, this is going to be in progress, and then we're going to have another column where it's going to be something like done. All right, now we have all of these things. Let's check what our web page looks like. All right, so we have all of these things in our web page, and it's time for us to start styling these things, this HTML structure. So I'm going to open up public CSS and custom.css, and I'm going to start styling from the first class here. All right, so I'm going to say dot section. What I want is the section will be width 100%, height I'm going to do 100 VH here, or let's do minimum height is 100 VH. Okay, then also let's give it a little padding. Let's say padding is 1 rem, 1.5 rem. Okay, so this is going to be, you see we have space here right now. All right, so I'm going to say dot section dot container. All right, so this is going to be width 100%, right? With 100%, I'm going to say minimum height is going to inherit, right? For that, let's quickly check what we have here. I'm going to open up my developer tools. That's Command Shift I on Mac, and it's going to be Control Shift I on Windows, or if that's not it, you can just go to the top right corner here, right, and look for more tools and open the developer tools. All right, so I'm looking for a particular element here, right? I want to know if the particular style I added to this is working, which is the height. I say minimum height, it should inherit minimum height from the parent container. All right, so with that done, what I want to do is I want to add some more CSS rules here. I'll say display flex, align items center, justify content center. Now you'll see that everything we have here is going to be aligned to the center of the page. So we have a column with tasks, and we have other tasks here. Now with this done, it's time for us to start styling our column. So I'm going to say section column. So the first thing I want to do is width is going to be something like say 20%. all right, doing that we have something like this. All right, then we say border. Let's give this border 1 pixels solid. Let's do RGBA, right? And then I'm going to do something like 0 0 0 0, that's black, and then I'm going to 0.1. all right, this should not be there. I'm going to do 0.1, so we have border for each column, right? And then we're going to say the minimum height for each column. Minimum height would be say 200 pixels. All right, so with that done, I think I want it to be the same height as what we have here. Let's check this out. This is 232, so let's do 250. Minimum height for each column is 250, so they will have the same height right here. Then let's give this column padding. So say padding, I'm going to have 1 rem and 1.2 rem. all right, so I am hoping that you guys already understood you already understood HTML and CSS, so I'm not going to be explaining all of these things I'm writing here. So I'm going to do border radius is going to be 8 pixels. Right, let's check that out. Okay, we have very good styling here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say margin 0, and we're going to have 0.3 rem. Okay, so that gives margin left and right for each column, but let's do 0.5 rem. Okay, so with this done, now what I want to quickly do is I want to say section for the first child, margin left will be 0, and then for the last child, so I'm going to put last here, for the last child, margin right would be 0. Alright, so just to clear out the margin left here and the margin right here. Okay, so based on this, I'm going to begin to style each task right here. Alright, so what I want to do is I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go back there, and then what I'm going to do is, instead of h3, I think we should have something like p. Okay, just p for each task. Instead of h3, let's have p. It's fine. Alright, so now you see that the styling has been changed automatically. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is I want to style our tasks. So before we do that, let's open our developer tool. Let's see what's going on here. So our h1 is having some margin here, so I'm going to do h1. I'm going to do h1 here. I'm going to say margin is 0. Alright, so because that I don't want it to have unnecessary margin, and then padding is 0 too. Okay, so that works. Now what I want to quickly start doing is I'm going to do the section dot column h1. I'm going to give in margin bottom of 1 rem. Okay, let's see how that works. Let's see, margin bottom of 1 rem. So let's kind of increase it to 1.5 rem, or even 2 rem, right, at the end of the day. All right, now also I'm going to say dot column dot task list. I'm going to say width is 100%, right, and then let's do dot column dot task list dot task item. So for each task item, this is what we're going to do. We're going to say width is 100%. Let me clear out the spaces right here. Width is 100%. Display is flex. Align items center. Alright, then we're going to do padding. Padding is 0.6 rem, then 1 rem, or 0.85 rem. We're going to do border 1 pixel solid RGBA. Let's do 0.15 here, 0.15 or 13 here. Alright, then we're going to do margin bottom. It's going to be 1 rem. Let's see what we have. So we're beginning to have, so in order for us to make this column stick to the top right here, so let's go back to our container. Instead of saying align item center, we're going to remove this, and then it's very easy to have something like this. Okay, right? It's very easy to have something like this. Okay, so the height of these columns have increased. So let's remove this. Yeah, so by removing height, minimum height to inherit here, we have been able to, automatically just reduce the height of this one. So now let's go back to our task item. Let's give it border radius of say 6 pixels. All right, just to make things look a little bit nice. And let's reduce the padding 0.2 rem. Yeah, okay, I think let's do dot task item p, let's say margin 0, padding is 0. All right, okay, now things make sense. So let's go back to this. Let's do 1 rem. Okay, 1 rem makes things look nice, but let's do 0.75 rem instead. Okay, and then the margin bottom, instead of 1 rem, let's do 0.55 rem. Yeah, okay, so I think this makes a lot more sense. Now let's style our handle, this task item dot handle, right? So let's do dot task item dot handle. Let's do display inline flex. All right, let's do width is 20 pixels, or say 30 pixels. Height is 30 pixels. All right, let's do background color, and let's give it like this teal. So it's too big. All right, so let's reduce it to like 20. Let's give it border radius of say like 4 pixels. All right, okay, that makes sense. And then let's make sure it have margin right to be 0.4 rem. Okay, now this makes a lot of sense. This is our tasks, and they're just, you can make this more dynamic in case you have a task with a very long description. All right, but this is what we have right now. So we have to do, in progress, and done. We have the tasks for each of this for each of the column we have the tasks. All right, now what we want to do is to start adding the drag and drop. And so start to add the drag and drop functionality, or the drag and drop feature on these particular tasks, right? That's what we're doing in the third part of this short course, right? So remember, we are doing two things here. We are building a simple task app, which is what we are doing currently, and we are going to build out a game like what I demoed or I showed you in the introduction part of this short course. All right, so I would see you in the next part of this short series, right?